Hello and welcome. Congratulations on surviving the first half of our webinar. And with that, I'd like to welcome you to the second half, VIAME 101, How to Build an Analysis Pipeline. In the second hour of the workshop today, we're going to be working through an interactive tutorial, modeling some of the steps we introduced in the first half of the workshop, and kind of walking you guys through the basics of how to create a single frame classifier similar to the type that we've been using in our analysis. And so for our syllabus today, we have some learning targets. By the end of this tutorial, our goal is that all of you will be familiar with how to operate VIAME Web, which is the software that Brandon was showing us earlier. We are going to practice single frame style annotations together, which will hopefully give you a sense for one common type of annotations in VIAME and familiarize you with some of the basic steps that are similar to other types of annotations. We're going to talk a little bit about the different types of models or pipelines in VIAME and which ones have been particularly successful for us. And then we're going to walk through evaluating pipeline success at a basic level. And so our agenda to accomplish this is, like I said, very going to closely mirror the structure or framework we outlined in the first session. We're going to talk a little bit about an ethogram that we've kind of established beforehand, so we don't have to think about it too much. We're going to talk about how to upload new data to VIAME and create organized folders. We're going to work through some group annotations so that you can get a sense of how annotating video feels in VIAME and about how much time it takes when starting a new project. We're going to talk about the different pipelines and then do a little bit of preliminary evaluation demonstration, depending on how time works out. But before we get into any of that fun stuff, I just want to take a brief moment to make sure that we're all starting the same place. So in our invitation for the workshop, we ask that all participants planning on attending this tutorial create a free account in the browser version of VIAME and download a short video containing some penguin foraging. So if you were able to complete these steps successfully, go ahead and give me a yes reaction in Zoom. And if you had a little bit of trouble or weren't quite able to do so, go ahead and give me a no, just so we can see that everybody's ready to get started. Okay, excellent. So it seems like there's a little bit of a mix, and some people were able to complete some steps and not others. So let me quickly post the file of the penguin video here in the chat. It might be too large, in which case I'll just share the link to where you're able to download it. Let's see. Okay, so the video is posted in the chat now. It looks like it's uploading, and I hypothesize that it will take a while to do so. So let me post the link to where you can download it yourself really quickly. And after I do so, I'll break you guys up into breakout rooms. And if you are having trouble creating an account in VIAME, somebody else in your breakout room will have been able to do so. And if you're still having issues, feel free to request some assistance. And Susie and I will kind of hop around and assist either verbally in my case or through the chat in Susie's case. Okay, Here is the link to the Google Drive folder where you can download that Penguin video. And I am going to go ahead and break you into breakout rooms. And like I said, we'll hop around and try and help each group, and we'll come back together in about 5 minutes to get started officially. Okay, sweet. I think this is everybody. So yeah, uh, hopefully that was successful. We weren't actually able to hop between breakout rooms. So if there's anybody who still needs help, if you still need help, go ahead and give me a reaction in the Zoom menu. Okay, sweet. That's awesome. So with that, let's go ahead and jump right in. So yeah, to clarify, does everybody now have an account set up in the browser version of VIAME and the Penguin video downloaded? If you don't have one of those steps completed, then go ahead and give me a reaction. And it looks like everybody's still good. So we're gonna finally move on. Thank you guys for your patience again. We really appreciate it. Okay, so to introduce you to the premise of this tutorial, if you've had a chance to look at the Penguin video a little bit, you probably noticed that it contains some benthic foraging behaviors from some Adelie penguins in our data set. And some recent research on chin strap penguins, also located near our Cape Crozier colony in Antarctica, have revealed that group foraging behaviors, which are common across different species of penguins, may be highly coordinated and influence the foraging success of penguins in different ways. And so in this tutorial, we're going to pretend that we're all seabird scientists interested in examining how group foraging influences the fitness of birds in our study. So with that in mind, we want to create a pipeline that can quickly identify when penguins are foraging in groups. And so our ethogram is going to consist of two categories: penguin, when other penguins are visible in the frame, like you can see here on the left, and no penguin, when no conspecifics are visible in the frame, which you can see an example of here on the right. Can I get a Zoom reaction if everybody understands the ethogram categories? Sweet. Okay. So now that we have our ethogram, the first step is to upload our video and create some blank annotations. And so to do that, we are going to hop over to the browser version of VIAME. And this is a similar screen you should see after you've signed in with your account. Initially, you'll see just the blank login page. And once you sign in, if you've never used VIAME before, like Brandon was saying, you'll probably just see a private folder and a public folder. So the first step that we're going to take is to go over here to the upper right-hand side of the screen and click New Folder, and just create a common place where we can dump our training footage. Let's just call it training, for example. And we can go ahead and create folder. After which we'll have a new blank folder, and we can go ahead and upload our data to here. So if we click upload in this same portion of the screen where new file used to be, we can now upload different types of data. Since we're dealing with video today, we're going to add video. And this will allow you to navigate to where your file is stored on your computer. For me, it's on my desktop. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that and hit open. Then it's going to show you a screen similar to this. We have the option to upload the data set. And for this tutorial, we're going to select 5 frames per second as the resolution. This will make our file a little smaller, so it will upload more quickly for the sake of the tutorial. And it will also make the following steps a little bit more time sensitive. So once we've completed that, we're going to go ahead and click Start Upload. And in timing this process, depending on internet speeds, this should take around 1 minute or so to process. Don't click that X like I just did. So yeah, go ahead and follow along. And since we're having trouble hopping between breakout rooms and we have a relatively small group of people here, I'm not going to put you guys into breakout rooms. Just going to give you maybe a minute or two to follow along. Maybe more like 3, so you have a little bit of time to upload the video. And if you have any questions, please feel free to unmute yourself or type in your question in the chat. And then in a few minutes, we'll move on to the next step of the tutorial. And then maybe when people are, okay, I see a question. When people are caught up with the steps so far, or if they need a refresher, or sorry, that's too many instructions at once. When you're caught up, go ahead and give me a thumbs up in the reaction window. And if you have a question, go ahead and type it in the chat. If you, for some reason, need to delete the video, you can delete uploaded videos simply by, for example, selecting the video and clicking delete down here at the bottom. Okay, I saw some thumbs up. So I'll give folks 1 more minute to get caught up or so, and then we'll move on to the next step. Awesome. Thank you very much, Brandon, for posting that clone link in the chat. For those of you who haven't seen it, Brandon posted a link in the chat where you can follow and clone the video directly to your account if the upload is taking too long or you're having issues. That should be a much quicker process as well. All right, so once we have our video uploaded into VIAME, the next step is to get it ready to receive some new annotations. And so what we're going to do is click on the blue launch annotator button, which should pop up automatically once the video has been processed into a web-friendly format. And that will take you to VIAME Dive, which is the primary annotation pane for the web or browser version of VIAME. From here, you're going to click up at the top, the button that says Run Pipeline. Down here, follow the button that says Utilities. And then for our purposes, we're going to select Empty Frame LBLS 1 frame. And that will start an analysis pipeline, which doesn't actually do any analysis. It just creates an empty frame classification for every frame in our video. And similar to uploading, this should take about 1 to 2 minutes to process. Since we have a short video, it should be quite quick. And then once that process is done, it just finished for me, If we refresh the page or click on that launch annotator button again, we'll see a new display that shows the individual frames in our video, along with a category that says unannotated frame. So once everybody's at this stage, we'll begin the next step of the tutorial, which is the group annotation stage. And here we're simply going to apply our ethogram to as many frames of the video as we can in 5 minutes. And that is about how long it takes me to process a video of this length after doing it for an entire summer. So there's no worries if you don't get all the way through it. Just try and get as far as you can while making as few mistakes as possible. And this is primarily just to give you a sense of how annotations work and a sense for how time-consuming the process could be when starting a new project. So to create a new annotation, what we're going to do is click on the first frame of our video and then come over here to the unannotated frame option. And since this frame doesn't contain any conspecific penguins, we're just going to type in no penguin and hit enter. And now no penguin is displayed as a new category of annotation. So in subsequent frames without any penguins, we can simply click on the annotation option and use the scroll down menu to select the no penguin annotation. Okay, Annie, go ahead and ask a question.
Hi, yeah, I missed a step early on, so now I'm not sure where you're at. So
no worries, yeah.
After we uploaded the video, then to get it ready for editing, what did you do?
Yeah, so let's see. So you're going to click on this launch annotator button if you see it. And if not, the video might not be done processing, which is fine. Just give it a few minutes.
Yeah, I got
and that will, okay, cool. And that'll take you to this annotation pane, which probably for you looks a little different. What you're going to do is click on the Run Pipeline button at the top, follow down to Utilities, and then select Empty Frame LBLS 1 frame.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so again, once we have created these unannotated frames, which should take a minute or so, once you start that empty frame pipeline, we're just going to go through and annotate as many of the frames as we can. And I'll give you guys until 11:52 to start that process and just see how far you can get. And it looks like our breakout rooms are up and running now. So I'm going to put you all into smaller groups where you can help each other and kind of work through the problem together. And if you have any issues, please feel free to ask for help, and we'll do our best to cycle through the rooms and make sure everybody's doing all right. Right. Welcome back, everyone. So I kind of want to go around and just really quickly see how far people were able to get. Maybe just visually, if you were able to process the whole video, give me a thumbs up. If you made it part of the way through, maybe thumbs to the side. If you're just totally lost, give me a thumbs down. Awesome. Megan, thank you for your honesty. We appreciate it.
I joined way too late. Sorry.
Okay, no worries. That's what the recording
Leave me behind.
is for. Okay, cool. I saw a lot of thumbs to the middle. So yeah, it definitely takes a considerable amount of time to process new video when you first start a project. And as you continue along, the annotations get quicker and quicker, but it still is a very time-consuming process. So that is something definitely to consider and appreciate when starting a new project. Okay, so now that we have an annotated video, or let's suppose for a minute that we have a video that we're happy with our annotations for. So we can exit back out into the main folder by clicking the data button and navigating back. And for me, this clone of benthic penguins is totally annotated and I'm ready to start my training. So what I would do is select it here on kind of the left-hand side of the menu, and then go over here to the kind of console with all the controls and click Run Training. And this is where all of your options for different model types are going to be located. So we can assign our new model a name, call it Pengu Detector. And configuration file is where all the different types of analysis pipelines or models that you can construct with VIAME are stored, and you can select between them. And what you'll notice is that there's generally a type of pipeline for the different annotation styles that we can use. We can train detectors for like boxes and points within individual frames, or we can train frame classifiers or object classifiers. And yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry. I'm getting input from Susie at the moment. So yes, you guys are more than welcome to follow along with this step. I think in the interest of time, I'll just demonstrate in the share screen how to work through it. And then we can leave a little bit of time for questions at the end of the session. And with this new feature that Brandon was telling us about, you can click this box here down at the bottom, use annotated frames only. And no matter how far you were able to make it in your annotations, you can create a working pipeline based on what you have right now. So what we're going to do, or what we would do in this scenario, is select from a frame classifier model. And for the various model types, there's there's different types, like Matt and Brandon were saying earlier. There's generally a type that requires less annotations, but is generally a little less accurate, and a deep learning type, which requires more training data, takes longer to train, but is generally more accurate. And so in this instance, since we only have one video with relatively few frames, we're going to select a frame classifier SVM or support vector machine. And then when we're ready, go ahead and click train dataset. I'm not going to click it because I trained one ahead of time. And so once our pipeline is trained, we can apply it to a new video by following the same process to select the video here on the left-hand side of the screen. And then instead of clicking on Run Training, we can click Run Pipeline. Where before we clicked on Utilities to create our blank frames, we're now going to click on this Trained option, which opens up a menu where all of our trained pipelines are stored. You can see I have the penguin detector right down here. So if I click on that pipeline, it goes ahead and applies it to the videos video or videos that I've selected. So that will take a few minutes to process. But what you would see when it's done is this, an annotation pane that looks extremely similar to our manual training annotations, except that each designation will be the model's prediction for what each frame should represent. And then if you navigate over to the type filter up here at the top and swap between them, you can see the breakdown of probabilities for how the model assessed the likelihood of the different classes in making its prediction. And so to assess the accuracy of a model on a new video, what we do in our lab is to manually go through each frame. And then for frames that are incorrect, like say, for example, the model classified this as a frame containing a penguin, we would simply go through and correct it to no penguin, keeping track of how many changes we make total. And if we were trying to be very specific, we would be tracking in a matrix that the model predicted this to be a penguin frame, but we are instead designating it as a no penguin frame. And so that process takes a little bit longer than to annotate a frame or a video from scratch, at least in my experience, because you have to pay attention not only to what the frame actually is, but what the model believes it to be. So instead of tracking just one aspect of the video, you're tracking two now. And so at least in my experience processing video, that task loading kind of doubles the time that it takes to correct video. So with that kind of brings us to the end of our time for the second half of the tutorial. Thank you guys so much for attending today. We really appreciated having you all, and we hope that this was informative and interesting and got you excited to work with VIAME. Feel free to stick around and ask any questions, but I think this officially concludes our webinar.